Hello everyone and welcome to another Premier League review show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm your host for today's show. An eventful match week in the Premier League. Manchester United somehow found a way to gain a point at Anfield. Arsenal bottled it and failed to close the gap after their draw against Brighton. Chelsea dropped further points in the league table and Man City are back to winning ways after defeating West Ham. So there's no place to start other than Anfield. And there is the scoreline there. What a terrible result. This was for the Reds. The odds were against United to get anything from this game. But somehow they managed to grab a huge point at Anfield with a 2-2 draw. So let's discuss the key moments of the game. In the first half, I don't think the game was played with huge intensity. But despite that, Liverpool produced a decent amount of chances. They were in control of the game as well, in my opinion. Gakpo had an early chance where he was through and goal and had a shot with the outside of his foot. Just missed the target. Maybe should have gone with his left foot there, but I don't think he had the confidence to use his left foot in that moment. McAllister then had a wonderful half volley, which was blocked by Onana. Lovely dink pass from Salah before that. Gravenberch has a moment himself where he produces a turn past Menu, drives with the ball, hits a shot from outside the box. Unfortunately, drags it wide. But the biggest chance in the game, especially in the first half, was for Manchester United. Lisandro Martinez hits a long ball over the top. Trent was caught napping and allowed Højlund to be onside. He's through on goal, applies a shot on target, but it was blocked by Alisson. In the second half, the game flipped when Manchester United took the lead. The opening goal, lazy defending from Trent to let Bruno Fernandes walk past him with the ball. He cut inside, ends up applying the through ball to Martinez, who drives inside the box and hits a thumping shot crossbar and in to make it 1-0. But thankfully for Liverpool at that time, they respond, and what a goal it was. McAllister hits a through ball to Cody Gakpo. He cuts inside, smashes the ball into the top corner. Fantastic strike, and exactly what we needed at that time. But then moments later, Manchester United concede a penalty as De Ligt blatantly blocks the ball with his hand. Salah steps up for the penalty and smashes it hard and low into the bottom corner to give Liverpool the lead. At that point, from a Liverpool point of view, you're expecting the game to be managed better, maybe even deploy a bit more of a defensive player like an Endo or even a Kwanzaa if you wanted to add another defender in the defense line. It appeared that we were going for that third goal. And unfortunately, that kind of cost us in the end. And Garnacho ends up having a low cross from the right-hand side. Diallo gets ahead of Robertson, and he gets the crucial touch to hit a low shot into the corner to make it 2-2. There were a couple of moments after that where it could have led to winning goals, and it came from two centre-backs. The first was Van Dijk, where he had a header from a point-blank range from a corner kick, but unfortunately, as he was trying to stretch for the ball, didn't apply any power in it whatsoever. But the shot that came in the last minute, that's a huge moment there for Manchester United. Harry Maguire, literally a few yards away from the box, had the whole goal to aim at. But unfortunately, he manages to hit the shot over the bar. But from a Liverpool point of view, overall, I'm disappointed with the performance and the result. I believe we produced enough chances to win the game. We were leading 2-1 at 20 minutes, and I feel like we should have managed the game a lot better at that moment. But also, the two goals that we conceded were simply awful, very unlike Liverpool. Unfortunately, individual errors cost us getting all 3 points. But as I am a football man, let's give the opposition some credit. United deployed a low block, and look, why wouldn't they? They're in a terrible position right now in the league. They're 14th at the time. They were in terrible form, 3 losses on the bounce. So they needed to get something from the game. And I think defensively, they did a great job. They had the perfect game plan for this game. And in the end, they'd probably be a little bit annoyed that they didn't get the winner with Harry Maguire's last-minute effort. So we have to give them credit, and I think Manchester United probably did deserve a point in the end. But in terms of Liverpool, look, it's not end of the world. Liverpool are still in a great position, 6 points clear with a game in hand. Arsenal drawing also helped us in terms of not feeling the effect of this draw too heavily. So I don't believe there's been any damage to our title charge. We haven't lost any leverage, and we remain in the same place. So let's move on and talk about the next game, which is the Arsenal game. And they were away at Brighton. So it looks like the Gunners, let's not be around the bush, bottled a huge opportunity to close the gap at the top of the table as they dropped points against the Seagulls. Arsenal got off to a great start as youngster Noeri goes on a marauding run from the right-hand side. He drives inside the box and places a shot right in the corner to open the scoreline. Great moment from the youngster, but at the same time, poor goalkeeping from Verbruggen, who should have done a lot better. Pretty much got a decent hand on the ball, but unable to parry it away. In the second half, Arsenal conceded a penalty as Saliba headbutts João Pedro accidentally on the side of his head, but regardless, it's still a foul, and a penalty was the right call. João Pedro steps up and hits a shot right into the bottom corner to equal the score. Brighton could have actually gone one further up and stolen all 3 points as Minte had a moment where he was charging down the right-hand side, finds himself inside the box, but unfortunately for him, it seems like he was caught in 2 minds whether to release the ball as a shot or as a cross. Ended up being something in between and completely missed the target of the goal, and also missed Mitoma, who was at the far post. So, yeah, better decision making there would have given them all 3 points there. But luckily for Arsenal, they probably count their blessing that they didn't concede late on, and they managed to walk away with a point. On to the next fixture. Palace versus Chelsea. Chelsea also failed to capitalize on the Gunners despite dropping points in their game against Palace, which ended 1-1. The opening goal was all about the assist, in my opinion. Exquisite dummy from Jadon Sancho on that left-hand side to get past Chris Richards. He attacks the left flank, squares it to Palmer, who completes the move with a nice low finish. Chelsea probably should have extended the lead as Jackson misses a target from a close-range effort. But Palace managed to get a late equaliser. Great team goal that started with Ismail Assar finding Eze on the left side of the box, and then he hits the first time through ball towards Mateta, and he smashes from close range to equal the score. Great point for the Eagles. Chelsea appear to have really dropped off in recent weeks. Looks like they may have peaked a bit too early, and are probably playing at their level now, which for me is challenging for top 4 and not really for the top position of the table. But we'll see what commences in terms of their upcoming fixtures, because it could be changed very, very quickly. On to the next fixture. Manchester City versus West Ham. Looks like the Citizens have rediscovered their goal-scoring touch as they destroyed West Ham 4-1. They got a bit of luck with the first goal as Savinho's cross takes a huge deflection, but still finds itself in the back of the net. The second goal was all about Savinho. He spins Cole and drops him to the ground through his crazy dribbling ability. Savinho then hits the perfect cross that neither the goalkeeper or the defender had answers for. But one man that read the play was Haaland as he leaps in the air and heads the ball from close range to make it 2-0. And Savinho, look, I've mentioned quite a few times this season. He looks a special player. The way he can play on the left wing and right wing with such ease, it's quite frightening. So they've certainly got a real player in their hands. And in the second half, he becomes provider once again. Lovely through ball for Erling Haaland, who's through on goal and dinks the ball over the keeper to extend the lead to 3 now. A mistake from Kudus leads to another attack for Manchester City. This time, De Bruyne lays it off to Foden, who hits it through Areola's leg to make it 4-0. And Fulkrug gets a consolation goal for the Hammers with a left-footed strike. That performance was like the old Man City. Whether they're able to perform this on a consistent basis remains to be seen. But they're still around the top 6 position and definitely will be challenging for top 4. Now, in regards to West Ham, there's strong rumours circulating that Lopetegui may be facing a sack. It's not officially confirmed, but there's already rumours suggesting that Graham Potter could be the guy that comes in place to replace him. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. I'm sure we'll cover it in the next match week review. On to the next fixture. Tottenham versus Newcastle United. Now, Tottenham failed to take advantage of their early lead as they suffer a 2-1 defeat from the hands of Newcastle. The opening goal was scored very early on in the 4th minute. Pedro Porro whips in a fantastic cross from the right-hand side, and Solanke applies the diving header to open the score sheet. But minutes later, Spurs concede the equaliser as Bergvall loses the ball to Jolinton. Gomes takes advantage. He hits a through ball to Anthony Gordon, who hits a low shot across goal, and he manages to find the back of the net. But I think Spurs were a bit unlucky. When you look at the replay of that incident, it looked like Jolinton handballed it before the attack was created. So the play should have been stopped. And I know Ange Postecoglou, who normally defends referees in those type of moments, he let it all out in the press conference. So, you know, every man has that limit, and I'm sure that was crossed for Ange Postecoglou. But in terms of the game, moments later, Newcastle took advantage and scored another goal. Great low cross from Jacob Murphy, who, by the way, has been in great form in recent weeks. He manages to find Isak in the 6-yard box. Dragusin tries to make a clearance away from Isak, but he still gets the final touch to grab the winning goal. Another great win for the Toonami. That's 5 wins in 5 games, and they climbed up the table to 4th position. What a great season that they're having right now. Now, in terms of other games, look at that scoreline right there. A 5-goal thriller at St. Mary's Stadium. What a away win for Brentford. So let's go through the goals. Sade opens the scoreline with a lovely finish from outside of his foot. And Bromo then makes it 2-0 with a smashing effort that hits the roof of the net. And Bromo then makes it 3-0 as Brentford receive a penalty from a foul on Vandenberg. Lewis Potter then makes it 4-0 with a left-footed strike in the bottom corner. And Wissa gets himself on the score sheet to make it 5-0 with a clinical finish. So a great afternoon for Brentford. All 3 points are headed back to the G-Tech Community Stadium. On to the next fixture. Aston Villa versus Leicester City. In terms of key moments of the game, Ross Barkley smashes in a fantastic low shot to make it 1-0. And then the Foxes equalize through a Mavididi finish. But Villa, I guess, had the last word as Leon Bailey scores in the 76th minute to grab the match winner. And that win helps Villa move up to 8th in the table. So they're definitely climbing up right now, finding some form in recent weeks. Now, on to the next fixture. Bournemouth versus Everton. Not a lot of goals in this game, which is a slight surprise as Bournemouth produced a high volume of chances in the game. The winner came in the 77th minute. Great cross from Kirkes on that left-hand side. Dave Brooks manages to apply a nice cushion, guided finish into the corner and gets all 3 points for the Cherries. Bournemouth remain in 7th place in the table. The next fixture, which was Fulham versus Ipswich Town, ended up being a 4-goal thriller at the Craven Cottage. But it was a point apiece as well. Ipswich Town opened the scoreline. Unfortunately, a mistake from Bassi, who failed to clear the ball that only reaches as far as Somozits, who makes it 1-0. But Ipswich conceded a penalty after Harry Wilson is fouled in the box. Jimenez steps up and converts the penalty to make it 1-1. Ipswich get a penalty themselves as Delap is pushed to ground. In my opinion, a very, very soft penalty. I did not think that was the right call. However, Delap steps up and converts the shot with real conviction to give Ipswich Town the lead once again. But Fulham respond and they get a penalty as Jimenez is brought to ground. He steps up for penalty and helps rescue a point for Fulham with his finish. Very unusual to get 3 penalties in a game, so a lot going on in that fixture. And the final fixture of Matchweek 20, which took place earlier this evening, which was between Wolves and Nottingham Forest. A huge win for Nottingham Forest, who have grabbed their 6th win in a row. Former Wolves player Gibbs White was getting jeered throughout the game by his former supporters. But I guess he probably had the last laugh as he opened the scoreline. Great counter-attack from Forest, and Gibbs White was in the end able to produce a nice sliding finish to open the score sheet. The second goal, great run from Hudson-Odoi on that left-hand side, left McDoherty for dead. He squares it to Chris Wood, who applies a delicate touch that rolls into the back of the net. The third goal pretty much killed the game, and it was another counter-attack. This time it was Anoyi who gets himself on the score sheet coming off the bench to score from close range. What a result from Forest. They are now on joint points with Arsenal, who are in second place. So you've got to give them a lot of credit. They are having a sensational season so far. And that is the end of our Match Week 20 review. Unfortunately, with the game being played today, the FPL hasn't really updated in terms of manager of the week. But what I can do, I could at least showcase the league table and see what the current standing is at the minute. It might not be as accurate, which I'll explain to you on the screen. Let me make the screen bigger for you guys. So as you can see, it says in the box, the league tables are currently being recalculated. The table below may still contain all data. But what we'll do now for the show, we'll just go based off what we see right now. So right now, Ellie Clark is top of the table with 59 points. Chris Barnett has dropped to second. Jordan Smith is in third place with 59 points. Melissa Morris has moved up to fourth. Tayo Aziz has moved up to fifth. Vipin Mahan has dropped to sixth place. Davis Rich has moved up to seventh. Jack Harrison has dropped to eighth. Godwin has moved up to ninth. And Pastor Romania has moved up to 10th. So big up to you guys for your points tally in this match week. I'm not sure what my points tally was. Let's have a quick look. So I managed to move up to 42 in the league. So not too bad in terms of my performance, but still got a lot of work to do. Before we close the show, we will go through the upcoming fixtures this week, and then I'll give you my predictions as well at the same time. So the first game is a 7:30 kickoff. So with the FA Cup games being played this weekend, we will resume the match week from next week onwards. So the first game will be Brentford versus Man City. If you've got TNT Sports, you're in good luck because all the games will be played on the channel. I'm definitely thinking it'll be a Man City win. They've definitely found their rhythm now. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Man City. In terms of Chelsea and Bournemouth, I think this will be a draw. Chelsea haven't been in great form in recent weeks. Bournemouth don't have the best records away from home, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. West Ham versus Fulham. As it stands, Lopetegui is still the manager, but it looks like he could be on the verge of getting a sack. So will they have a new manager appointed by this game? Plenty of time, another week, so it remains to be seen. It could be the case. So new manager bounce, should be in full effect. You'd assume in this moment, but I'm still going to go for a Fulham win. I think Fulham have been in sensational form in recent weeks, so I'm going to predict the scoreline to be 2-1 for Fulham. Forest versus Liverpool now. Forest, as I mentioned, joint points with Arsenal right now on sky-high form. Liverpool dropping points against United, which was a surprise due to their poor form in recent weeks. And I'm a little bit concerned going into this fixture as a Liverpool fan due to the fact that Forest deploy a low block, but they're very, very aggressive in their counter-attack. They've got the likes of Elanga, Hudson-Odoi that can really cause havoc on the flanks. So this is going to be a very, very tricky game. I'm still predicting a win for the Reds, but it's going to be a close game in my opinion. I think the scoreline will finish as 2-1 to Liverpool. Now, in terms of the fixtures on Wednesday, Everton face Aston Villa. I'm going for a Villa win. So it's going to be a 2-0 victory for Villa. Leicester City versus Crystal Palace. Both teams have been a bit up and down in terms of their recent form. I'm going to go for a draw, a 1-1 draw there. Newcastle versus Wolves. I'm going for a 3-0 victory for Newcastle. I think Newcastle have been in sensational form recent weeks, and I think it will continue. And would you look at that? We've got a North London derby, Arsenal versus Spurs. I think Spurs might ruin the mood. I think this will be a draw. I think it'll end 1-1. I think Spurs, this is what they do. They turn up in these sort of moments and they'll try and be the party poopers in this moment in terms of Arsenal's title charge. So I'm predicting a draw for that one. And the last two fixtures, Ipswich Town versus Brighton. I'm going to go for a Brighton win. And the scoreline will be 2-1. And Manchester United versus Southampton. You'd expect United to win, but I don't know if they'll... I think they'll win, but it won't be a landslide sort of scoreline. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Red Devils. So that is my Matchweek 21 prediction. Before we close the show, we will go through the comments. So let's take it from there. So Dad says, big up Ozzie. I thought United should have seen red cards. Yeah, they did have a couple of moments where I felt like maybe they should have, but yeah. There was nothing that was stonewall in my opinion, but yeah, these sort of things. I don't have a lot of trust in these referees, so it doesn't give me too much surprise that nothing was awarded. Steve said, "Let's go, champ! Happy New Year! Happy New Year to you as well, Steve. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for tuning in." Steve says, "Man City title charges on. Yep, they're finding their rhythm now. So people dismiss them saying they're not even going to finish top four. I think that's very premature to say. They'll be up and running and they'll be around that area in the coming weeks, that's for sure." Steve says, "Linda's the fraud linked to Everton job. They will definitely get relegated. If that's the case, I'm not sure about that appointment. Yeah, I think they should stick with Dyche, but we'll see what happens." Daz and Steve greeting Happy New Year to each other. Steve says, "Ozzie, did you see our Bozo fullbacks in the derby? Shocking. Trent has the Robbo I play shy virus. Now both need to be benched next 2 games, and we need a new left back signed tomorrow, i.e. Hato or Hincapi." Yeah, they didn't have the best of performances for sure, especially Trent. Really, really disappointing performance. It doesn't help with the fact that he's been linked to a move to Real Madrid. Some fans believe that it may have gone to his head, and I actually think it did. I think it really affected his performance. His focus levels wasn't there. He wasn't concentrating. He was showing a lot of lapse in his game, even from a defensive and attacking point of view. So for me, he just wasn't there. Physically he was, but mentally, I don't think he was. So he really needs to sort that out. Regardless of what happens in the future, he's still a Liverpool player right now. So he needs to be professional and focus on the job and try and secure trophies for this club. And then from there onwards, look, whatever he decides is his decision. But for now, I need 100% from Trent, and I need him to be focused, and I need him to perform at the highest level in a daily basis in terms of games that we're playing. So he needs to do a lot better. Dad says, "What would you do on Wednesday, Ozzie Nunes?" What would you do on Wednesday, Ozzie? Nunes or Jota or Diaz? This is in regards to the Tottenham fixture. We've got the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. I would possibly play Jota in this game. I think it would be a good one for Jota to get some games up top and then bring Darwin Nunes later on. I'd probably start No, actually, I don't even know if I'll start Darwin Nunes and Accrington Stanley. I'll probably give the nod to Jota to start this game and then have Diaz and Nunes on the bench. I don't think we need to go too strong in this game, but we'll touch on this tomorrow. I've got Liverpool 12th man joining the show tomorrow for our match preview, so make sure to tune in for that. Will be taking place at 11 p.m. UK time. Steve says Arne got out foxed by Amram tactics in the derby. Plus, Arne messed up on bringing on Nunes. Did not change formation to stop United attacking our right side. Should have gone for 4-5-1 last minute. Excuse me. I think you're spot on in terms of the tactics. I felt like when we got that second goal, we should have not gone for a different approach, but I think we should have managed the game a lot better, and we failed to do that in this game. So tactically, yeah, questions have to be asked for Arnold Slot. Steve says, I hope Arne goes full strength versus Spurs, plays Kids, Endo, Morton, Quasa, Kelleher in the FA Cup, go full strength Forest. Yep, that would be my. I'd want us to rotate a little bit against Spurs, not too heavily. I've got a few players in my head that I feel like should probably not feature and should be rested. In terms of the Accrington Stanley game, 100%. There's the players you mentioned are probably the right players, and I'll probably add Elliot to that. I think Elliot needs to get a bit more games time. I'd probably add Chiesa to that as well, and then go full strength against Forest next week because that's a very tricky game that we have coming up. Steve said if I was Arne, I would play 4-5-1 counter attack, surprise Nunes, Forest, and F up. His game plan, he's played for our usual 4-3-3 system. Steve says Robert big threat to our defense, then opposition players. How did Robert not stop Ahmad before he scored? I've said this before, Steve. I just feel like his reaction to defensive situation has deteriorated quite a lot, and he's just not responsive anymore, and that is really affecting his long-term future at the club, in my opinion. That's why, you've mentioned it. I've mentioned in the past. I do feel like the left-back position needs to be something that needs to be addressed. Definitely in the summer. Whether it happens in January, I'm not that hopeful. I would love for that to be the case, but I just don't think it will happen. So, but it is an area that needs to be looked at because these are the kind of moments that are costing us, losing goals. And it's all good and well having a player of his leadership and experience. But these are not difficult moments. These are moments where he should be making crucial blocks and having a real impact in the game. But it hasn't been the case, and he's made these mistakes quite a bit this season, in my opinion. Steve says Arnold should have took off Trent, Robbo, Jones at halftime. All three shocking. Jones got bullied by Manu. Not just by Manu, he got isolated quite a few occasions. He had like 2-3 players on him on literally every turn that he had on the ball. So yeah, it's just one of those where he didn't have the best of games. Trent didn't either. Robbo, yeah. I think for me, Trent should have been taken off either halftime. I don't think that would have happened because I feel like that would have been a huge call to make, and I feel like it would have been a lot of negativity around there. But he should have been taken off very early on in the second half, not late on where I think Bradley came on for like 10 or so minutes. So yeah, should have been taken for a long time before that. And Jones, yeah, I don't think Jones was very, very quiet, very anonymous in the game. Didn't really have any impact, which was a shame. Season Onslaught starts Nunes versus Where. Why he's banned for Forest? Yep, he is banned for Forest. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, possibly I'd probably start him and Jota. I'd rest Diaz for the next game, and I just have Diaz fired up and ready for the Forest game. But that's my opinion there. Daz says, does VR come in this round? I believe it does, but don't quote me on that. I remember listening to the commentators in the last fixture. I feel like they mentioned it does, but I can double check that for you tomorrow and announce it in the match preview. But from on top of my head, I think it does, but I'll confirm tomorrow. Steve says cheap broke FSG still ain't got Trent, Virgil, Salah signed up. FSG out. Yeah, no surprise there. Kara says Robbo should have been replaced last summer. Yeah, he should have, but we didn't do much, so who knows? Steve says, who's still in talks to sign Kirkes? I don't know. Panny's on holiday right now, so what can you say? Steve says John's still taking that one touch too many and losing possession. If he played with maximum 2 touches, better player. Yeah, I feel like at number 10 role, I just don't feel like he's aggressive in that role. Because when I see a player get the ball, I want him to take that next step and be a bit more direct in his play. I feel like he's a bit more of he's a silky player in terms of how he, holds the ball and stuff. I feel like that's why he's better suited playing in a double pivot rather than a bit more further up, because you need to have a burst of speed when you're number 10. And I just don't feel like he has that in transition. So for me, can do a job in that number 10 role, but I would like, it was a shame Sabota wasn't available. He was ill for that fixture, but I need to see a bit more from Curtis Jones when he plays that number 10 role, because he can do it, just doesn't do it enough, in my opinion. Steve said we are going to smash them Zionist Spurs. And he also says FSU want 30 million for Doak. I think they'll get, we sold Carvalho and Vandenberg for that kind of fee. I think we'll get it. 15 million for Endo. That's probably a little bit steep. I think I remember Marseille offered around 12 or just less than, or between 10 to 12 in the summer. So, it's not completely wild, but I'd take 10 million for Endo. We've got to take a bit of a hit, but I don't know. I wouldn't sell either player right now. Doak is on loan right now, so I feel like let him continue his development there. Obviously, if you get 30 million bid, I'd probably take it. Let's be honest. But I don't see Palace or any team bidding 30 million in this current climate. And Endo, I would not sell Endo right now. If we're not bringing in players, which doesn't look like seems to be the case, we need to have every man in the team. We need to make sure everyone is available. We've got a lot of games coming up. Champions League returns in a couple of weeks' time. FA Cup this week, Carabao Cup in 2 days' time. The games are coming thick and fast. So we need to make sure we have a fully ready squad to go and fight in all cylinders. So can't be losing players at this stage of the season. Steve says Jones had opportunity to shine and failed miserably. I think that's a bit harsh. I feel like a lot of players were below par yesterday. So I wouldn't put it down to Jones, but I feel like with Jones, if Szoboszlai was available, Jones wouldn't get ahead of him. It's just that Szoboszlai is a superior player to him. But I do like the fact that Jones can play in different roles and can be utilized very well in certain games. But he just had an off day. I wouldn't say he failed miserably. He just didn't have the best of games, in my opinion. Steve says Keller might be sold if the right offer comes in. Yeah, his, unfortunately, departure looks very likely with us, signing Mamadashvili from Valencia. So, yeah, I do expect a goalkeeper to leave. You can't expect to have all three, because that'd be ridiculous to have all three on the books at the same time. So let's see. Looks like, yeah, he's probably destined to leave. And rightly so. I think he deserves to be a number one elsewhere. He has the quality of the top keeper. The big question will be, how much do we get for him? And which club is showing interest, because I feel like he's actually really, really good. In terms of number 2, probably the best in the league by far. So there should be a team that is very established that should be looking to sign Kelleher there. Steve says all players at LFC can be sold by cheap burger FSG for the right offers. Yeah, money talks, doesn't it? I guess. Steve says great derby game on Sunday. Yeah. Less said the better, to be fair. Steve says, Bradley Konate rushed back by Arne. I think he was slight desperation. I don't think Bradley was supposed to play. But, if he's fit and he's available on the bench, that means he should be able to play in some shape and form. Konate, I felt like was, he went through the walls. He had a knee brace on, and at halftime I saw his other knee was gashed. He had blood pouring through, so he went through the trenches in that game. Me personally, I wouldn't start Konate in the next game or the Accrington Stanley game. I'd rest him until the Nottingham Forest game, wrap him up in cotton wool, because he had to put in a shift that day to cover Trent on numerous occasions, and that's not the type of game you need a player to return at when he's just been off for nearly 2 months. So yeah, we need to make sure he's well rested and is ready for that Forest game, because that one's going to be a tricky game. Very, very tough game in my opinion. Steve says Arnold has zero faith in Kwanzaa. He might be sold. Also, I don't think he'll be sold in this window. However, I can see him being loaned out in the summer, and just to see what happens in terms of his development. But yeah, it doesn't seem to favor him, which every manager has their sort of ideology of what they want in a centre back, and maybe he just doesn't fit the bill. Maybe it's due to his age. Maybe he feels like he's not quite mature enough to play for the first team. I'm sure Arsenal will have his reasons, but according to what we've seen this season, he hasn't really delivered. It's been quite hot and cold, and Alonso, I think, would be great for his development at this stage of his career. And if he has a great spell at another club, then he still would have a future at Liverpool, in my opinion. So we'll see. But I do envision him to go out alone in the summer. That would be my prediction for Kwanzaa. Football with Enz says, big up, bro. Have a great stream. Big up yourself, Enz, as always. Thank you for tuning in. And please, guys, make sure you subscribe to Football with Enz. Doing amazing content as always. And a good friend of ours. So please support his channel there. Steve says, Becca still looks rusty and unfit to me. I haven't noticed that, to be fair. I feel like he's done all right, but fair enough, Steve. That's sending up to Enz there. And Steve says, Konate looks off the pace. Glad he did not pull up injured. Yeah, I was concerned for Konate. I really was. Thankfully, there's nothing to suggest that he was, impacted by playing the full 97 minutes, which, it was a bit unnecessary. I would have probably brought on like a Kwanzaa, but I think due to not having a lot of faith in Kwanzaa, I also probably just decided that, he's got to play it through. If we had a bigger scoreline, then I think maybe it would have been a different proposition where Konate might have been taken off at the hour mark, but because we were trailing at the time, it didn't help the situation, so we had to keep him on. Steve says 7 days in and no sentiment left back signed by cheap broke FSG. I'll be honest with you, Steve, I don't think it's happening. So don't count your hopes too high right now. It's not going to happen. Steve says need Konate for Forest game to deal with Chris Woods, 100%. Steve says Gomez might be back in March. Wow, I did not realize. I thought he was only out for a few weeks. I thought he would have been back for Feb. That's what Arne Slot mentioned in his last press conference. But if that is the latest news we've heard today, that's a huge blow to the squad, because he was picking up some good form, and he could be utilized in different roles, especially from a defensive point of view. So that is a shame. That's his back in February. So that's what I heard as well. So unless Steve heard otherwise today, maybe there was a development today. I haven't seen anything personally. From what I heard from Arne Slot in terms of his last press conference, he said a few weeks. So for me, that would suggest early February. So let's see. I'll do some research and get some clarification on that for tomorrow's show. But hopefully it's not a long layoff and it's a small solution. Steve says, Ozzie, you could have got down quicker to to ammo shot and saved that. Becca went down to Stolly. So that was one that I mentioned in the match reaction yesterday. Maybe that was one I feel like Addison should have done better. But yeah, reactions from Robertson didn't help. Trent being out of position didn't help. Konate covering for him didn't help. Van Dijk, not reading the ball very well at the time didn't help. It wasn't just one person. It was a bit of everything. But yes, Robertson for me, you probably give him credit, not you, Steve, because I know you don't rate him too highly. But I know someone else might say, he tried to cover and make that block, but too little, too late. You've got to be a bit more quicker with your thinking in terms of those positions to take up, because if that winger's gone past you, he's going to be goal bound. So you need to make sure you're charging down and making sure you're closing any space whatsoever, and you fail to do it. So not saying blame Robbo for everything, but in that moment, I think he should have done better there. And Trent had an awful game himself as well. That says February 1st, he's back, Steve. So yeah, that's what I thought as well, but we'll see. Steve says you do a GoFundMe page for FSG to buy players. Your channel blows up. You'll be interviewed by Sky Sports. Let's see what we can do, Steve. Steve says Goldman's back in training, middle of Feb, ready for first team action in March. So that's a concern if that is the news. But I will double check this because I need to know if he is available or not. I was hoping it was about 2-3 weeks, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Joe Gomez. And Steve says, my under 10 kids have been coached to mark the player, not look at the ball. It is schoolboy error from Robertson. You're spot on, Steve. Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. The goals we can see, it was just such a low level. Very unlike us because we're defensive. We're quite a close unit, and we're always, sussing out those sort of loose balls or openings from the opposition. We just weren't at it at all. So yeah, such a shame. Dad says Don back Wednesday. Yep. I got the inkling that he would return this week. He was just not feeling well, unfortunately. But yeah, good to see him. He's back training. So yeah, I'd probably save him for that Nottingham Forest game and then take it from there. So no need to rush him for action. Stanley, for me, that needs to be the game to showcase our youth players and also give some minutes to some of our squad players that haven't been able to get onto the pitch that much this season. So that would be my thinking there. And Steve says if we took our 2 early chances, United would have folded. Yeah, Gakpo and McAllister. Yeah, I think the McAllister one probably was the easier of the 2 chances to open the lead. So we produced a lot of chances in that game, especially in the first half, just didn't capitalize. So finishing cost us, and individual errors allowed the other team to get onto the score sheet, and we conceded goals. So yeah, not a good day in the office. I'm slightly relieved that we didn't concede the winner, because if Harry Maguire scored that 3rd goal, yeah, we'd never hear the end of it. You have to you have to bear that in mind. So that was for me a bit of a relief sort of moment. But yeah, if that had gone in, I don't know what would have happened. I probably would have smashed my laptop in that moment when I was in the watch along. And Steve says, Ozzie, you might get a game in the FA Cup. LOL. I would love to. Why not? Why not? I'm ready. I've got my boots ready. So yeah, I'm ready to go. Steve said, did you see Van Dijk shine at Trent a few times? Yeah, I did. Apparently, there's rumors that they had a bit of a face-to-face in the change rooms. Apparently, they had to be, put to one side. They were like getting into a bit of an argument in the changing room. So I don't know in terms of what happened outside of the game. But yes, I did see on the pitch, and rightly so. Trent was just not on it whatsoever. So as captain, it's his responsibility to make sure he's he's alert and he's ready to take up those positions defensively, because he just wasn't doing it at all. So yeah, not a great day for Trent at all. But when I say that that's not me saying, oh, Trent is done, get rid of him, sell him. I'm just going based off that game. And for me, in that game, he just wasn't good. So that's for him to try and rectify and improve in the next game. So still, for me, one of the best players in that position. The right back position, that's his position in world football. So that's not going to change. I'm not going to change my views on the player because he had one bad game. But, everyone's entitled to have some bad games, and that was certainly one of them. Steve says Van Dijk, Trent kicked off in the chain. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier on. Crazy. Steve says Van Dijk, Salah had an argument with Arne. Also, I did not know that. That's a bit of a mad one still, if that is the case. Not a good look. We shouldn't be. I know it hurts because it's United and it's personal rivalry involved there, but we shouldn't really let emotions, affect us in that way. We shouldn't be going at each other in that way. But it does happen. It's an emotional game. Things run high in that sort of moment, you get heated. So it's not surprising. Hopefully it's all swept under the rug now. And Abdul says we need to improve. Big up to Abdul. Steve says Madrid want Trent. Offer Madrid Trent cash on top for Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni would be a great signing. I just don't think they'll accept that. Abdul says we need additional signings. We certainly do. We certainly do. But I just don't see it happening, unfortunately, Abdul. I would love to see us sign some players this month. It's just not going to be the case. Abdul says, hi, everyone. Bless up. You'll never walk alone. Being up yourself, Abdul, as always. And Steve says, happy New Year to Abdul. So happy New Year to everyone as well. If it's the first time you've tuned in this year in 2025. And that is the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to, let's go from the top, Daz, Steve, Abdul, for your comments. Appreciate your comments. As always, appreciate your engagement. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming shows, I will be doing a match preview tomorrow for the Tottenham versus Liverpool game. It's the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, and I'll be joined by a special guest who is Liverpool 12th man, so make sure to look out for that one. And then on Wednesday, I'll be doing a live watch along for that fixture, as well as a match reaction show later in the evening. And then on Thursday, I'll be doing a match preview of Liverpool versus Accrington Stanley. And on Saturday, we'll be doing a live watch along for that game, as well as a match reaction later in the evening. So lots of shows coming up this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell. You can also follow me on social media for all the latest updates. You can follow me at Ozzie.ftp on Instagram, as well as Ozzie_FTP on X/Twitter. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.